What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first-round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And man, this week has been an awesome week, man. And we are finishing it right. I'm super excited, super excited to have my guest on today. And she's a first, all right? And I don't want to say this even bragging. I guess it's not even right. But I haven't even thought about it. But she, if I can remember, I can't remember all the shows I've done. But I know as far as coaching wise, definitely, even the softball coach that I had on were all males. So the fact that I got the first female on, what up, DJ? The first female on, and being a black female, and not coaching softball, she's like, nah, let them do that. Let me go ahead and handle my baseball response. You know what I'm saying? Let me be a baseball coach. So I'm super excited to hear her baseball story. I got a little bit behind the scenes, just a little bit, but I'm anxious to hear more. So I have Carroll University assistant AD and assistant baseball coach, Bianca Smith, joining us today. So Bianca, man, pleasure to have you on here. Man, I'm anxious to hear all about you. I know my listeners are too, but I wouldn't be, I got to treat you like I do everybody else. Listen, I always got everybody start from the beginning, where they from, talk about the playing career, because we're going to talk about that, and then to where you are right now at Carroll University.
All right. Well, thanks, Steve. It's a pleasure being on. I'll try not to make this too long. I kind of been all over the place. But yeah, starting from the very beginning, I was born in New Jersey. I grew up in Texas, about 15 minutes away from the Rangers. Funny enough, I actually didn't start playing softball or baseball until I was 13. I actually played soccer for 10 years. That was our family sport. Yeah, I know. That's weird.
Wow.
Softball was my backup sport, and then decided to play that in high school instead. So did that for 4 years. Went to Dartmouth College. I graduated with a bachelor's in sociology. While there, I played varsity softball, club baseball, and I was a cheerleader for all 4 years. Also worked for the varsity baseball team, working as a tour guide and for our recruits and just helping out anywhere I could. That's about the point where I decided that I wanted to work in sports. Knew that it had to be baseball. That was my sport since I was 3, even having played soccer. Still had to stick with that. So after that, I took a year off, decided to study for graduate school. I worked for a sporting goods store, worked as a pharmacy technician, worked as a Pittsburgh Power Arena football intern. After a year, went to Case Western Reserve University, and that's really where I got my start. Spent 4 years as the director of baseball operations / graduate assistant coach, just kind of helping out anywhere I could. Started doing stats, doing social media, meals, travel plans, throwing BP, helping out drills on the field. And let me tell you, hardest thing I did, I think, out of that entire job was actually probably planning meals. Trying to plan meals for 40 baseball players and coaches when you don't know when a game's going to end. It's hard. So everybody listen, appreciate coaches planning your meals. That's really hard, trying to tell the restaurant we might be in between these 2 hours and we got 45 hungry guys. So yeah, while I was at Western, I ended up graduating with my law and business degrees in sports law and sports management. That March started with Texas Rangers, moved back down to Texas to work for them, and I was with them from March to December of 2017, just doing research projects, helping out with the draft, any projects that they gave me. That October, the Rangers sent me to scout school, so I got a little bit more familiar with the coaching side, realized that a lot of what I'd learned with Case Western, I actually already knew, really just needed to get the terminology. They knew that's what I was interested in, so being sponsored for Scout School was awesome. That actually led me to my next internship. I ended up interning with the Scouting Bureau in the Commissioner's office in New York. That might be why you saw the New York plates. I was there for a while. Worked out as pretty much more research projects, helping out with the draft. That was an awesome experience. I actually got to sit in the room while we were doing the draft for the full 3 long days that it was. After that, started looking
Nice.
at college positions, didn't get anything, so just moved back down to Texas, worked as a volunteer assistant baseball coach at the University of Dallas. Just for the fall, worked as an RBI coach for the Rangers and a bunch of other part-time jobs, just to save up some money so I didn't have to live with my parents the entire time. Thankfully, I'd been in touch with the Reds for a while, so the Reds offered me a baseball operations trainee position, moved to Cincinnati, and that was just January 2019. Started off with just research projects again, player development, scouting. They sent me on scouting trips. And then that's where I probably got the biggest break. And I love this story because around the time of the draft, emailed the coaches, asked for advice. So like, look, I know I want to coach. I know I want to be on the field. I'm not a fan of sitting in the office. I miss being able to throw BP. And originally they said, yeah, we'll sit down with you. We'll talk with you. We want to, give you some advice. Never really happened. So me being me, decided I'm just going to go down to the field anyway during batting practice and just watch and take notes. David Bell, our manager, noticed and said, okay, no, you got to get on the field. So within about 2 weeks, I went from standing in the stands watching BP to our assistant hitting coach saying, no, Bianca, come over to the turtle. Come stand, angles are good. Come watch, come ask questions. So I got to be on the field with the players, started, getting to know the players and the coaches, just learning more on the coaching side. And then one day, David Bell comes up to me and asks, hey, do you have a glove? I said, yeah, it's always in my car, though. He goes, okay, next time, bring your glove. We'll see what you can do. Got to start dressing out, started going down like 3 hours early, catching in for the coaches, warming up the players, warming up the coaches. It's a great experience. Wow. Started being in the clubhouse during every home game. I was monitoring hitters, just listening to the pitching coaches, hitting coaches. I learned a lot. And that's what led me to Carroll. I've been applying for different positions. I applied for this position that I have now, which is Assistant Athletic Director for Compliance and Administration. And honestly, at the time, it was kind of a stretch. Wasn't sure if I was even going to get an interview. When they did interview me, though, and they said they were interested, my first thought was, okay, you got to let me coach, though. I can't take this job and not be able to coach, too. And they were all for it. So I talked to the head coach. He was excited and kind of just jumped in. So that was August of 2019. So if anybody's keeping track, yes, that was 6 moves in about 2 years. But hey, do what you got to do for the game. So yeah, now I'm with Carroll. Besides being an assistant athletic director, I'm an assistant baseball coach. My official jobs are hitting coordinator. I oversee base running, help oversee outfield. I oversee all of our technology. I take care of our stats, and I coach first base for our reserve team. So that's where I'm at now.
You sure you ain't batting? You also ain't doing the batting 1 through 9 and playing all 9 positions too? You sure you ain't doing all that?
No, that's next season. Step at a
so
time.
Listen, I mean, I'm looking at it like, first of all, it's you get. I'm gonna go back to the degrees, right? You got from Dartmouth. What degrees you got again? What?
It's bachelor's from Dartmouth, and I have a law and a business degree from Case Western.
So she got a bachelor's degree in the law. I can't even repeat the damn degrees that she got. So she's like, nah, I can go to corporate and do my thing over there, but nah, I want to really like be a coach and get in more into this baseball thing. And they trying to stick her in, behind the desk and be the, the tech person and all that. She's like, nah, I want to get on the field. Like, nah, how do I get on this field? And this is an amazing story. Like, yo, this is, I ain't gonna lie to you, part of me is like, why are you not? I mean, I guess you want to be on the field, but I'm like, what all the package that you got, I'm blown away. Like, you should be in the front office some damn way. I guess eventually it may get to that point, but man, to it seemed like the last few years it's just been a blur. I mean, to being on the field and Major League field, and David Bell and those guys bringing you on in the field and throwing batting practice, to now being an AD of a school and coaching it and doing everything for the school. I mean, I usually have them talk about the school, but I want to talk about you and your story. So, I mean, you say you always been a baseball player, even though when you were playing soccer in high school. I mean, coming up, it was just the opportunity, or it was just something that you were like, I'm a girl and I'm supposed to be playing, soccer or softball. Why this switch to baseball and, fairly late, 13, 14, right?
Yeah. So it's partly my parents. They stuck all of us, so I've got 4 younger siblings, and we pretty much all played soccer when we were young. That was just the sport, especially down in Texas. Like soccer, you can play year round, no matter what. And my mom is actually the one who introduced me to baseball in the first place. Huge Yankees fan. And, it stuck with me. I mean, we watched games together. She played softball, so she was able to, understand enough of the strategy that she just passed it along to me. It never really occurred to me, though, to play softball because, I'd always just played soccer. That was just the thing. My dad even coached me and my sister, so it was just a family thing. But it was until I got to high school, my mom said, you might want to have a backup sport just in case you don't make the soccer team in high school. So she's like, why don't you try softball? And I think that it was, just being a girl. The thing is, you play softball, you don't play baseball. So I never really thought about playing baseball in high school. So as everybody knows, mom was right. Didn't make the soccer team. So I was like, okay, thank God I got a backup sport. Let me go play softball. I know the rules because it's just like baseball. So one thing that I did have to figure out that I didn't figure out probably until halfway through my first season was that I couldn't lead off the base. I was so used to watching baseball that I had to learn, you can't for softball. So that was probably
with one foot on the bag, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think it ended up making me a better base runner because I always managed to come off. I was a little early just because I was used to that, but I never really had a fear early. But that's really what got me from soccer to softball, and then softball to baseball in college was opportunity. Didn't get a chance to play varsity baseball because I'd been playing softball. I actually walked on to the Dartmouth softball team. At the time, I was just cheering, and like I said, I was working for the Dartmouth baseball team. I ran into the softball coach. She was a new coach. We started talking, and I told her, I played in high school. I was pinch runner mainly, outfielder, so a lot of speed. And she goes, we're looking for some speed. Do you want to try out? I was like, I'm not going to say no to trying out for, D1 softball program. So tried out, made the team. And then a couple months later, the club baseball team started up. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but I'm going to make it work. I'm playing baseball too. So managed to do all 3 sports my last 2 years of college. And baseball was just always it. I mean, I loved playing softball. It was fun, but I preferred playing baseball more. I preferred, just being around the game more than softball as much as I loved it. But like I said, baseball has just been my sport since I was 3, so I just couldn't let it go.
What about baseball has just got you with that bug that usually is the dad that passes down the game of baseball to the son, but in your case it's your mom passing down the game to you, and what got you that bug of playing baseball? That's great, and even in college,
It was strategy. That's still what gets me now. And it's funny that you say, usually it's the dad passing it to the son. I'm actually passing it to my dad now. Like our family, we're football, basketball, soccer family. I mean, I got a younger brother who actually plays in MLS. So there's not a lot of baseball in my sister, but my parents are starting to learn the game more because I will sit there and explain the strategy to them. I mean, I used to watch the World Series with my dad and go, okay, Dad, the manager's going to bring in this guy next. And then I would explain it to him. And that was the joy for me. The fact that I could sit there and just pinpoint different moves, try to figure out, okay, what's this player going to do next? What would I throw next? Who would I throw out next? And that's what I loved about the game. I love that you could have that strategy. And the fact that if you could figure out the strategy of the game, you could play it. You don't have to be the fastest, you don't have to be the strongest, but if you could figure out where you fit, you could play the game. I loved as well.
This and it's crazy because of the biggest like headache most college coaches, that's been on the show tell me is like, man, we got all these showcase players that can hit the ball a mile and throw the ball hard and all of that, but they don't understand the game. The baseball IQ of it is what they're lacking, which they got to teach. And you're saying, you're the exact opposite. Like, I got the baseball IQ, which essentially puts me right into the game. And now I'm able to either teach it and play it right away because I understand the game. And, a lot of guys don't make it with amazing talent because they don't have the baseball IQ. The jumps are late. They can't read balls right. They can't read the balls off the pitch. Or they don't understand when to run, do what. And, that's crazy. I guess you just have to. You got a Dartmouth mind, Dartmouth education, but I'm still amazed that. I know your mom is talking to you, but to play the game starting in high school, you know what I'm saying, to get it and then be good enough to play in college and then now in the pro game and being around those coaches. And are they amazed like how I am right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they amazed that the game so well? And I gotta see your batting practice, your BP throwing. I gotta see all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something that you don't see.
No, I definitely had some of the Reds coaches who are a bit shocked, particularly, once they do hear the degrees, it's not what you expect. I'll be honest, when I was getting these, my initial thought was, I'll be a general manager, but yeah, I can't really sit in the office that long. But yeah, when I went down to the field, and I actually didn't tell the coaches my degrees, I just told them I wanted to coach. They found out from my supervisor, and they came to me later and they're like, you have a degree and you're down here? What are you doing?
Right. I guess that gives them a whole lot more respect because I know I'm even my boy like DJ said this is amazing, great job, and they just people I'm like the fact that you have the degrees and you're like, no, I just want to be around the game, absorb it as much as I can, listening to the coaches, getting into the meetings, and your fight, you know what I'm saying, your hustle. I respect that more so than almost the degrees, you know what I'm saying? Because they're going to tell you to do this. You're like, nah, and, come watch me. And then next, you're on the field and you're throwing batting practice to getting the glove and taking ground balls. And, you know what I'm saying? So, man, there ain't no telling where you may end up being a GM/coach, on the field type thing. So, respect to you for that. No doubt about it. So I hate to, listen, we'll get back to all of this other, but the show is about the universities. I try, I want to learn about Carroll University. Where is it located? What level? And tell me a little about Carroll University. How about the school?
Yeah, so Carroll University is in Waukesha, Wisconsin. If anybody actually looked up how to spell that, it is just like every other Wisconsin town. Hard to pronounce, takes a while to get used to it. We're about 20 minutes west of Milwaukee, so great location. I love the fact that, I'm not a huge city person, so having a city that's close by is great. It's not that far, right down the highway, but at the same time, the area that we're right in downtown Waukesha, so a lot of stores, a lot of restaurants, near malls, near a lot of different shopping, a lot of different entertainment areas. We're right by a river, so a lot of kayaking, canoeing, just really outdoorsy area. We are a D3 program, so that was actually a huge draw. I know for a lot of people, we're one of those programs where we just want to bring in the best people, and thankfully, we're not limited by roster space, so we're always willing to try to bring on people, make them better. As far as the actual school, it's a pretty small school. We have a little over 2,000 students or 2,000 undergrad, which is nice again because small classroom size. We average about 20 students per class. Professors are really responsive, and the entire school actually. It's not hard to reach out to different people. and get a response really quickly. And the campus itself is pretty small, so just getting to walk across, I mean, it's a beautiful campus, don't have to go too far. Facilities are amazing. We have a turf football field. We're actually getting a turf baseball field, which I'm super excited about. Getting full turf, 6 bullpens, cages, new dugouts, new fencing, and it's going to be ready just in time for our new season, or next season. So I'm super pumped for that. More on our facilities, at least for baseball. I hope baseball, softball, and lacrosse actually is indoor facility as well. We've got 12 different cages. We've got indoor turf, which is really helpful, up in Wisconsin. The snow can be pretty brutal. So it's nice to think someplace where we can go practice as a team, and we have individual sessions so guys can come in whenever they want to. And even if it's not with us, if they just want to come in and just, hit, it's always open for them throughout the day. So anything else specifically, or just keep going? Because I got
yeah, I know you talking, that's fine. You can keep going about the school. I know it's D3, so there's no scholarships in in Division III baseball. So what is your recruiting now? Where are you guys recruiting, from? Is it more of a local based school? Do you guys go out of the state to pick up players, or what?
We're pretty local. Most of our roster, most of the school actually, are from Wisconsin and then Illinois. We are only about 2 hours away from Chicago, so we do get a lot of Illinois students. Occasionally, we'll also get some Minnesota. We are trying to branch out a little bit more. We're starting to reach out to different states. Once we start making a couple more connections. I know, like, our football program has been reaching out to Florida, Nevada, California. So we are starting to branch out a little bit more as we get, more staffing. Like I said, more connections. We've been reaching out to different programs, different youth programs outside of Wisconsin and Chicago, some in Texas, some in Ohio, some in Pittsburgh, DC. So we're open. It's been a little bit easier to get the local students, but we're certainly open and trying to reach out a little bit more.
What's the price? What's the price to go to that, school as far as academics? Because most Division III schools, especially the guys that I've had on here, I've had a few Division III, coaches on, and academics is always kind of like, a high priority. It's always is, but I'm just saying mainly for the Division III, especially with no scholarships.
Oh yeah, no, definitely priority. We're at about 42,000, but 100% of students get financial assistance. So I know that helps, particularly since we don't have athletic scholarships. We do have plenty of help for our students to bring that price down quite a bit. Academics, like I said, it is definitely a priority for us. Last 5 years, we've been on the ABCA Academic Achievement. We've gotten that award. We, as the compliance officer, our team has no excuse for us not knowing their grades, because I actually get them all the time anyway, so I'm responsible for all of that. But we do have tables. Guys are required to go to basically 2 hours of you're just sitting and studying, doing homework. We rely on our seniors to help out our underclassmen, but once a week they do have those study tables. We do have our student success services, which is for the entire school for anybody who might be having different issues, but we have an athletic liaison who's actually in the department who works specifically with our athletes. Since we do understand, athletes have slightly different, not priorities, but I mean, it's different trying to schedule your classes and making sure that you're keeping up with your classes when you're traveling a lot. So we want to make sure that our academics are a priority for our athletes. Like you said, being a D3 school, we want them to succeed. We want them to succeed after school's done. We want to see them do well. Quite a few of our athletes come back and do our graduate programs. I know this year, especially with the COVID, since we're not going to be using a season, we have a senior who graduated who's coming back as a PT graduate student who will be playing for us next year.
Nice. So you only had to deal with one player with the COVID,
Four of our five seniors are coming back. Only one actually graduated and then is coming back as a grad student. The other ones did
my bad.
We're going to drop one class and then come back in the spring and only play one class. But no, like I said, 4 of our
Nice.
5 wanted to come back. They were not ready to be done with Carroll's baseball program. So we're excited to have them back. I'm super pumped. They've been great guys.
So let me ask you this. So you come into the school, you ain't fin- I mean, I guess technically right about now you would have finished your first year.
Yeah.
Right. So how is that reception when you walk in and they're like, hey, here's the assistant AD, the compliance and grades and stuff, which I guess that could be okay. But then she's like, oh, by the way, she's also a baseball coach. You know, how was that? How was that conversation and meeting with the teams? You know, how did that go?
Easier than past teams, I'll tell you that. I think this helped out because I had a little bit more experience. I had the credentials, and probably 2/3 of the team watched the Fox Sports video that they did on me on the Reds, so they kind of already knew what I was bringing in.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't too bad. I'm sure there were a couple of guys who were like, okay, what is this? What is she talking about? What can she actually bring? And I mean, that doesn't really surprise me, but it was definitely an easier transition than past years have been. That's for sure. But I think it also came in. I kind of already had a plan. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be involved with. This is how I want to help. And I kind of just jumped in. Then it quickly was like, oh, okay, yeah. All right, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. We can work with this.
Nice. Do you? I mean, I mean, everybody has that, but I'm sure you being a female, you know, coming into a locker room, and do you get that like, oh gosh, you know what what are we doing over here?
I mean, it's really not. It's not that bad now. Like I said, when I first started out, it was a lot harder. When I started at Case Western, that was really when I got my first start, and just kind of showing up, having just played, a couple years of club baseball, softball. Yeah, at first it was kind of like, all right, yeah, I guess you can help out. It was more on the tech side. I do remember one of my first conversations with our head coach was, no, Matt, I want to throw BP. And he just looks at me and goes, yeah, right, that's not happening. And then my last year there, he comes to me where one of our coaches couldn't make it. And he goes, okay, Bianca, go throw BP. We just need you for a day. Well, that one day turned into the rest of the season. So, like I said, first start, yeah, there's definitely that. Okay, what are we doing here? Particularly, like, it's just, I admit it was a little awkward just trying to I know they were trying to figure out, how do I interact with a female coach? I used to joke with people that you can always tell who the freshmen are after my first year.
Right.
They're the ones who don't talk to me for like the first 2 months. Like, they have no idea how to talk to me. It's always the upperclassmen who've been around me that eventually get them used to it. And they're like,
Right.
oh, okay. She's just like any other coach. It's fine.
Right.
Like, first, couple of weeks of fall ball, none of them, unless I talk to them directly, none of them will talk to me. So it definitely does take some getting used to.
So let me ask you this. So you're in a locker room now. I mean, you're in the bar. I had to show that. Just show the love.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm sure, people have to hear or do they feel like they got to tame their mouth around you? And, because sometimes, them locker rooms could be, pretty brutal, man, to anybody, non-religious people. I mean, religious dudes, it could be, intimidating. It could be definitely women, so, how was that experience being in the locker rooms of, of college and pro teams?
That's actually not as bad as people would think. I think it's more just, one, I got used to it, but having played on a baseball team, like, as long as there's nothing really directly offensive, I'm pretty flexible with it. Like I get it. There's part of the game where that's just how it's always been. And one of the things I've learned is you can't really force your way in and force everybody else to change. You get to the point where they want to change. That's when it makes the transition easier rather than forcing your way in. And it really hit me. There was my last year at Case Western. There was a senior talking to a freshman, and I forgot what they said. I don't even remember what they said. I just remember the freshman said something. I think he cursed right in front of me and didn't realize I was there. Turned around and, oh, coach, I'm so sorry. Our senior turns around, looks at me and goes, yeah, she's heard worse. And then just kept talking. Like, that's just how this. Honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not completely proud of it, but once I start getting fired up, I probably follow along with the players too, more than I should.
Nice.
Like I said,
nice.
Get used to it. I've been pretty, but it hasn't affected me that much. Besides the fact that I probably just go along with it too. Once I get really fired up in the dugout, they start to notice, and especially on the pro side.
You feel right there, and that's cool.
Yeah, on the pro side, there were a couple of players. They might say something in the clubhouse, realize that I'm there, and apologize. And after a while, they realize, oh, she doesn't really care. It's okay. It's like it doesn't help to have them feel awkward. There's no, as a coach,
Right.
you can't build that relationship. They're going to be awkward around you all the time. You kind of have to let them be who they are. And then, like I said, if they want to change for you, they'll do it. And that's really where that's where I feel accomplished. I mean, just as a female coach, is when I notice that they start to change. Like, it's little things. You said, like, being in the, it's not just what they say. Especially D3 level, when we're traveling, we got to change on the bus. That was probably the biggest thing for me, is figuring out, okay, making sure they're not feeling awkward, but I'm in uniform too. I'm not wearing my uniform on the bus for 7 hours. I got to change too. So figuring out that is, and making sure that they know that I'm comfortable too, means that they can be comfortable and just focus on playing. Like, that's all I want for them, is to be just as comfortable with me as any other coach that they might have.
Wow. The we got the question here. Black Baseball says, what are the compliance requirements for Division III?
That's kind of a loaded question. Not as much as D1 or D2, I'll tell you that. Is there any way we can clarify? Are you asking like eligibility?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I don't know. How you see it is how you put it up there. So yeah, I don't know.
I guess compliance requirements specific. I'm assuming this is for like if you want to play at D3. Kind of there. It does. There's some things that vary by the school. D3 has actually been pretty flexible, letting the schools decide what GPA you need to have. Really, it's the same thing. You get 4 years or 4 seasons in 5 years. I think the biggest difference from D1 is that at D1, those 5 years start once you're enrolled. So it doesn't matter if you drop out. You still have 5 years from that first enrollment. At the D3 level, it only counts when you're enrolled full time. So you could be enrolled full time just in the spring and then enrolled part time in the fall. And you technically would get like 10 years because you have those 10 springs, because it only counts for full time.
Wow.
So I know that's one big difference. Nice. Other than that, I mean, the compliance requirements are pretty much the same from any other school. Like, got to do the drug consent form, got to fill out the compliance forms. Those are the biggest things. I get to do 10 compliance meetings for all of our sports, letting them know what you can and can't do. No gambling on.
How do you have the time to do all of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, coach, and then all the sports ADs, and you got the pettiness, of the jobs. You know what I'm saying? The meal planning and the tech part. Like, you gotta have patience, and you're doing all the sports because you're the AD over there. Like, how do you have time for that?
It's a lot of time management, something I got very good at Dartmouth, playing 3 sports. But really, it helps that the school is really supportive. Like, they know this is what I want to do. They know I want to coach. Eventually, I want to get to the point where I'm coaching full time and not also balancing being an assistant AD. As much fun as it is, like I said, I mean, I just want to be on the field. I want to be able to coach and do that full time. So, I think it's like any other coach, just spending the day when you're not at practice, not with your players, planning for practice, planning for the rest of the week. It helps that, as the hitting coordinator, most of the season was more on the hitters than anything else. And it goes along with the technology. I mean, we use blast sensors for the hitters. So a lot of what I do as the hitting coordinator is really just making plans around that. I do spend a lot of time going over video of our hitters because I'll videotape them during practice and then send them notes. So that takes up a lot of time. And then, I mean, it's not an hourly job. Like I've learned that. A lot of the stuff I have to do at home. We might have a later practice and then I'm spend another hour after practice getting stuff done. I might have to wake up earlier, before I go into the office, make sure I get my compliance work done. I might get that done in like the first 3 hours, spend another 3 to 4 hours either at individual practices or going over a video, going over our practice plan, go home, get something to eat quickly. While I'm eating, I might be going over videos some more. I mean, it doesn't stop, but I love it. It's hard work, but it's so much fun. Like I would not give up coaching for anything at this point.
That's great. Gosh, that's a whole different passion, man. That's love right there, man. Respect. So, saying that you all in with this, obviously you're not even, anyway, because I don't want to disrespect or anything for it. This is what you want to do more. So I'm going to keep it at that. So has the Major League Baseball contacted you about a job?
Nothing full time. The Reds actually were considering keeping me on as a fellow, but I would have been a baseball operations fellow, which wouldn't have been a bad thing because, I mean, they're flexible. Like I said, they're the ones who let me go on the field, but nothing in a coaching capacity, at least not yet. I have only been in this position for a year, so I'm still in touch with the Reds coaches. A couple of the Reds coaches teams, so they're aware of what I'm interested in, but not yet. Fingers crossed. I'd love to go back to MLB if I got a chance to. I mean, as long as I'm coaching, I'm happy.
Would you start? I mean, I'm sure you saw the young lady over there with the Yankees. Would that be something that you wouldn't mind doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with that too. Like I said, I'm just happy if I get to be on the field and work with players. I mean, that's the best part of my job is working with players and helping them develop and just seeing them progress. I mean, there was one period this year before our season ended, about 3 weeks after we started practice, we used our blast sensors to do another test just to see how their numbers looked. And getting to go through all those videos and text every guy, go, yeah, this number got better. Do you see this? Like this is how you've improved. I know it doesn't really feel like it sometimes, but you got better. So getting to send those out, getting to see them actually just develop, that's what I enjoy. So I mean, I'd be okay, working at a minor league position too. Actually, that coach that you mentioned, I was in touch with her a little bit. There's actually a couple other with other MLB minor league coaches, a couple of high school coaches, and I think there's one or two other college coaches who are female. We actually get on a call every other Wednesday during this quarantine, just kind of supporting each other since I think there's only like 9 of us total right now. So
wow.
we've been talking a little bit, just, learning about each other, learning about our experiences as well. And I can tell you, those are some smart women. I've learned a lot from them too. But yeah, no, if a major league team contacted me about a coaching position at a minor league or major league level, I wouldn't say no. I'd certainly learn about it. And I would certainly be willing to jump in if it was something that, if I got to coach.
Wow, that's yeah. I mean, I know she's the Yankees. I've seen her in a bunch of interviews, and it helps that she's with the Yankees, with the media attention and stuff like that. But the fact that we're part of this group on Facebook. It's like a bunch of ex-pro guys, right? Minor league and major league guys. It's like thousands of us, and that topic came up with about the Yankees and hiring a woman, and it was mixed reviews. You know what I'm saying, within this group, it was there's plenty of men that's been there and done that, coaching that they felt very strong about their opinion, like, hey, women don't belong, whatever. And then you had other dudes, it's like, oh, I know this girl and I saw her story and she's well, qualified, tech part and everything. But I definitely want to, I'm impressed, what I'm saying, right now, and on my side. So, and I haven't talked to nobody about what she's doing, but listen, I love to help you as best I can on my side, word or two here and there, just, because honestly, if I don't, we could talk hitting behind the scenes, but if the tech part, that's the biggest thing right now. They're hiring people who understand the technology aspect of it, more so than anything. So besides the blast, are you up on the K-Vest and the Rapsodo hitting and stuff like that too?
So we don't use it. I am familiar with K-Vest. I'm actually planning on getting that certification so I can learn a little bit more. We do use Rapsodo pitching at Carroll, and I've used it at Case Western as well. So I am familiar with it. Another thing I'm going to be looking into certification-wise and the hitting. I've actually talked to our head coach. I might have convinced him to get the Rapsodo hitting too. So fingers crossed on that. I'd be pretty excited if we can get that. So like I said, I'm definitely familiar with that. A lot of it just comes from use. So I'm hoping, one day I'll finally be able to actually use some of the technology. With the Rapsodo pitching, I get to use it only sometimes, just because as the hitting coordinator, I'm with the hitters, not the hitters. But occasionally I'll get to take a look at it. Right. I'm familiar at least with the data that it spits out. So that helps. That was one of the big things I've been doing, at least for the last couple of months. And the players are aware too, just making sure that we're up to date with the technology, or the technology at least that we have, we know how to utilize it properly. Just making sure, it's not a waste of time and waste of money. I would hate to put that on our players and we can't really do anything with it. We're looking into getting a second blast sensor so we can start using it during live at bats, during batting practice, just so we can start comparing practice to game. But even what we have has been really useful. I might not have the K-Vest, but just what I know of what it does, I've been able to use that with our players. Like one of the pieces of data that we have with the blast sensor is rotational acceleration, which is a huge thing for me, just because I understand, power comes from ground up. And then being able to explain that to the players, specifically what parts of the body need to move first. I really only knew that because I was familiar with K-Vest. Like I could picture what the graph should look like in my mind if I had K-Vest, and being able to tell that to our players, this is what you should be doing. This is what you should be looking for. This is what we need to work on. So to answer your question, yes, I'm familiar with a lot of the technology, even if I don't get to use it all the time. I'm always looking to try to learn more about it, just because technology is changing all the time. I mean, you look at Rapsodo, they're already on 2.0. I mean, we got our Rapsodo, I think, right before 2.0 came out. And now, like, okay, now we got to get that one, get the upgrade. So always just make sure, like, that's one thing I try to tell our players, just always learning. There's always something you can learn, something you could do better. Even if it's only one better, like practice, just make sure you learned something from today. If you've learned something, if you've gotten better, even one little thing, that's a success.
Amen to that. Yeah, they I know that the tech part but what I like about you, I could I see is the passion is there. Why hitting more so than anything? Why the focus? I mean, that's the best part of the game of baseball, obviously. But you could have picked up pitching, you could have picked up infield, outfield, base, whatever. Why hitting? Why specialize in that?
So actually, I originally specialized in outfield and base running because that's what I did. And people stick with what's familiar.
Okay.
And that pitching is the only thing that's not really transferable from softball to baseball. So now I could coach out, I could coach base running. I chose hitting because of the fact that I didn't know a lot about it. I probably could have picked two, but I think being a position player, like, yeah, I'm a little bit closer to the hitters. That's really what I wanted to work on. It's, again, the fact that I didn't know as much as I wanted to, that was kind of a challenge for me. Like, okay, I got the outfield, I got base running. Now I want to work on hitting. Like, eventually I'll probably get to the point too where, yeah, I'm going to learn as much about pitching as I can. Once I get through hitting, that's going to be my next goal. So yeah, I mean, that's really why I chose hitting, was just because I didn't know a lot about it. And the more I learn about it, the more I want to continue learning. Especially now in this day, like, working with biomechanics, that's another certification. I'm actually in the middle of doing a biomechanics certification right now. I just finished up a anatomy and physiology course that I took at Carroll this past semester. If anybody works for a college school, yeah, it's great getting free classes, but never take a class during your season. Really, so that's a lot of work. But yeah, the more I learn about just the way the body moves, the more I learn that, the more I learn about the blast sensors and the different data that we have, the more I want to continue learning about it. So it's just been a lot of fun working on the hitting side.
All right, I just want to give a few comments that have come in, and D. Ross does a great job. Definitely big time Power 5 AD or Pro GM someday. Very qualified, very proud of her. Great job. We have Bob says, yes. Bob
yeah, that's
says,
actually
excellent
my
job. Oh, that's not? Okay. All right. Well, that's right. He's throwing love to his baby. That's all right. All right. Yeah. And I don't know who this is. It's just Facebook. I don't know. Sometimes learning this thing is Pioneer. This is history right here. That's dope. I'm for real. Good question here. Let me see. Let me pull this up. And this just came in. Was she viewed as a step down or discrimination if she was asked to coach softball, even if it was a head coaching job? If she gets out of baseball and goes to another sport, does she think that'll be able to? Do you think she'd be able to get back into baseball?
That is a great question, particularly because it actually has come up several times. I don't see it as a step down. In the discrimination part, it's a little hard to answer just because that's the idea that girls play softball. But I don't see it as a step down because I see softball and baseball as two different sports. I've actually applied to softball positions too because of the fact that, if I couldn't get into baseball, at least it was close enough to the game that I thought I could get back in. I think it probably would be a little difficult to get back into baseball if I did do softball, just because that's what the experience would say on my resume. That's the biggest thing for me, is that if I'm showing my resume to an AD, a baseball coach, all they're going to see is softball. They're not going to see baseball. That's the biggest struggle for me. But I definitely don't see it as a step down because, softball is a hard sport to coach too. And I've coached youth softball too. So I certainly think I could do it. I've learned from experience that I don't include on my resume things that people can pigeonhole me in. I have some experience and I applied when I did the Pittsburgh Power Arena football team. I applied for the operations internship. I got the internship, but they threw me in marketing without letting me know. And it was after that I said, okay, I'm not putting marketing on my resume anymore because people see that, they're going to assume that's what I want to do, not operations, because of my gender. And unfortunately, something I had to recognize. So I do try to avoid things like that. But if the opportunity came up and I didn't really have anything else, it's still a coaching position. I would just have to be really careful. You know, I'd probably be doing something baseball related on the side just so I can keep that on my resume and still show that I'm getting baseball experience.
That I think right now, I mean, the momentum for the baseball side is obviously, you know, is there. And just hearing you, listening to you, and I hate to say this, Bianca, I when I saw the young lady with the Yankees, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, really, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, and I was I'll be the first to tell you, because I'm one of those guys, you got to have been there and done that. I'm one of those guys, you know what I'm saying? But then I'm, you know, for people that know and listen, you know, understand that I'm with the Pirates now, and the amount of people that are working in and around the game that really have not really played the game at a high level. You know, you played it just as much as the highest level that they played, but they got the tech side down. They're into the Rapsodos and the drive lines and everything like that. These are the ones that's getting hired, you know, from what I'm seeing over here. And the guys like myself who like are not about tech at all, I'm learning now more so than ever. But, you know, I got all the years playing, you know what I'm saying? But these young guys are the ones that some of these guys are above me, you know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, and have never played 1 year, maybe professional ball, but they got the college and the technology aspect of it. So, you know, I'm you know, listen, I hear your degrees. I hear your passion. That's the main thing. I can hear it in your voice that, yo, this is what I want to do. I mean, you know, I love the game and the hitting and all of it, you know, because I'm listening to it like, God, I got to step my job up, you know, my game up, because I ain't talking about biomechanic, biochemistry and the body movements and all of that. All I know is his hips don't turn. He can't swing hard enough. He ain't got no heavy rotation. His speed ain't you know where it needs to be. But I don't get into all the other body parts and stuff. And that's just the difference of technology. But, you know, more power to you. So listen, what is Bianca see herself? Like, you know what I'm saying? And in the next 2 to 5 years, what it would be the, you know, I know, I kind of feel it, I know it already, but I want to hear it from your mouth. What is the ideal situation that you want to be put in, goal wise, you know?
Full-time coaching position. That's always been the goal. I mean, again, I enjoy my position here. I love the fact that I get to do a little bit of everything, but there's always that voice in the back of my mind that says, if this is what you can do while you're also an assistant AD, imagine what you could do if you're only focused on baseball. I mean, like you said, I have the time to do everything. Those 3 hours that I spent on compliance, I could be doing something else baseball related. And knowing that there's always going to be something else that I'm going to have to do outside of baseball, and that I could be using that time instead, it's always going to bother me. So really, I'm using this time, the fact that I do get to coach, I do get the experience. I mean, an experience that I probably wouldn't get no matter what my resume looks like right now. Obviously, I didn't get it because I haven't gotten a full-time position. So all I can do in the next 2 years is really just continue to gather experience, continue learning. Like I said, I've been using this time. I mean, I've done the drive line, I've done on-base U, doing the biomechanics, I'll be doing Rapsodo, K-Vest, all of that. And then just being able to utilize it. Because, yeah, it's great knowing the technology. Doesn't help if you can't tell your players how to utilize it. It doesn't help if you can't tell them how to what you give them. I mean, that's one of the first things we learned in the first week of practice was we can't use black sensor every day. Because I started noticing in the second week, once we started going live, guys' swings were changing. And finally, I was like, okay, guys, going on? You were doing fine in the cages. And they're like, oh, well, I was thinking about, you know, changing my attack angle. I'm like, okay, see, that's the problem. It's great when you're in practice to, you know, be aware of that stuff. But the point of the cages is eventually it needs to become muscle memory. No matter how much tech we have, that is still what the game is. That is why we do, you know, that's why we take ground balls every day. So you don't have to think about it when you're in a game. I don't want you going up there and thinking about your attack angle. It should just be natural because you've done it so much. So we had to get to that point where we actually had to back away from technology because they were thinking too much about it. And actually, that kind of goes like, I know what you were saying, when you don't have that experience playing, it does change things. And that's one of the things I've learned how to balance. And I think it helps that I might not have played at a really high level, but I still have played. I know what it feels like to be an athlete, and I know how hard the game is. And I don't want to have to focus on just technology because that's not how the entire game works. It helps, but that's not the game.
Right.
So that's in the next 2 to 5 years, that's really what I want to do, is just continue getting that experience. And then hopefully, after 2-3 years, get a full-time coaching position where I can continue to build up. Eventually, I want to be a full-time head coach. And I recognize that, I probably, unfortunately, with my gender, that's not going to happen in 2 to 3 years. But I can at least get that full-time assistant coach position and continue to work up to it.
Well, listen, you've done this, and I'm you're making me a believer. Like I said, that other girl, I was like, with the Yankees, a young lady, I was like, I heard a couple of interviews. I haven't heard nothing bad or whatever, and listening to you, I'm just like, who's going to tell you no? You know what I'm saying? Who could possibly say no? Now, it may not be a big league managing job, but who's to say that you can't coach, at best a minor league team or definitely a college program? It's who did I talk to? Because the woman in basketball, the girl, the Popovich assistant coach over there in San Antonio. No, what's her name?
Forgot her name. Do you
remember her name? Okay. Yeah, anyway,
I knew you were talking about that.
He was saying, she's like, she has a chance to be a head coach in here. And, he has her on her staff, on his staff. And I think there's another woman that I know for a fact the Memphis Grizzlies hired a woman full-time assistant. So, things are changing, and that's basketball. You know what I'm saying? So, who's to say that you can't get it? That's my whole, that's my 2 cents. You
just need the opportunity.
That's the biggest part. That's it. Yeah. And like you said, you may have to, go through a couple more loops and bounds than most people, and but it'll just make you fight harder. Congrats, Bianca. Great to see you in this position, and prayerfully you get that head coach position. All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, and we he said in 2 or 3 years it might happen. No one can stop what God has for you. Doors will open. All right, and this is an inspiring story. It was work. I knew it was gonna be something to this. You know what I'm saying? I know it's just our random encounter on how I found you. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, I'm intrigued. That's all I kept saying all week. Like, I'm intrigued to find out about this playing baseball, her story. I had no idea the Dartmouth, the multiple degrees, what I saw. And I didn't even pay attention to the Reds thing. I thought something about honestly, I thought like something was scouting or something, whatever. Nothing big. I had no idea you were getting on the field with David and those guys over there and BP and sitting in the meetings. Like, I had no idea all of that was going on. So that means you had to impress them enough to be like, yo, she know what she's doing, So I would go right back to the Reds, right now in the off seasons and these other people, and just be like, yo, this is what I want to do, and and go from there. So Leslie says, congratulations. This is awesome. Prayers up for your continued success. Becky Hammond, that's who it was. Becky Hammond. Yeah. I couldn't remember, but so seeing this, I mean, you're an inspiration to all, to a lot of people. do you just have your head down and just like focused on, helping your team and your university? But do you do anything like outside as far as speaking and empowering women? I know you got the little, empowerment group that you guys help each other out, but I mean, to where you are right now is even inspiring, obviously inspiring me, but it's, to what you've done already is, it's only the beginning. Is there people reaching out to you, wanting you to speak and, or, has that opened up yet?
I've only had one. University of Wisconsin-Madison, actually, the softball team asked if I could come out and speak with them about a couple months after I moved here. But we are actually, as that group that I told you about, we are actually talking about trying to put something together where we can help more female and minority coaches get opportunities. Just because most of those opportunities that we might get tend to be those volunteer positions that we can't afford. So we're trying to figure out some way where we could put together even some kind of scholarship or donations just to sponsor, one or two coaches, just to at least get them even a volunteer position, just to get experience. I wouldn't say no to speaking opportunities. I don't really advertise it. I do kind of focus more on my team and just helping them get better. And, I know my story really hasn't gotten out besides Threads. And again, that's because they did their feature with Fox Sports. So at least in the area, Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, that area, they found out about the story and that's how they asked. I'll tell the story to, our guys too, more just to inspire them to just continue to work hard, take responsibility for their development, even outside of what we try to help them do. But maybe in the future, people reach out. I'd certainly be willing to talk to people.
Yeah, it ain't, you ain't, I feel like in the next year or two, that story would be too much for you. Not, if you go get a pro job next year, and then the floodgates will open with opportunities, no doubt about it. Sure. But, yeah, it's just, you just got a little bit of behind. So what's, Russ says 3 sports at one school, then get her law degree in NBA, just as impressive as amazing. I agree. I said that in the beginning. And once you tell me the degrees, I feel like being like, girl, what you doing over here? Want to be a coach? You know what I'm saying? Like, you better,
Trust me, my parents probably asked the same thing once or twice.
I already know, God, but hey, it's like that's what I'm saying. And I think that's what them dudes with the Reds and all of that. With David, they find out all the degrees and stuff you have. They're like, this is impressive. Like, she could be doing a whole lot of other things, but she out here, around the game. Where in New Jersey is she from?
I was born in Patterson. I got like 4 or 5 generations who actually live there.
Nice. All right. That's right. That's right. She's on the D Brown stories out here. That's right. And listen, it's all about who you meet. Like I said, it's all about who you meet at what time. And like I said, I'm impressed. Like to say, like, I just know, a whole lot, but I know some people. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's your story is really impressive, and I hear the passion. So, any way I can help in the near future, I'm sure. I keep in contact with pretty much all my guests that have come on. Obviously, you're the college side. I usually try to help other, individuals, young athletes get to the Carroll Universities and stuff like that. And I'll do the same. But on the flip side, sure. I just feel like,
parents, players out there who are interested as well. Feel free to email me if you want more information about our program.
Can you what's your social media handles or your emails? What's the best way to send video or anything out there to you?
It's my email. I can give you my school email. It's bsmith@carrollu.edu. You can also go to our athletics website. It's gopios, pios.com, and then go under the staff directory. My Twitter handle is on there as well, but my Twitter handle is Bianca E. Smith 12. So if you want to see videos that way, either way, if you want to reach out, I mean, please feel free. I am under the compliance rules, so if you're a junior or younger than a junior, I can't talk to you just yet. But if there are parents who want to reach out, feel free. I could talk to parents. But yeah, feel free to send videos. We're always looking for more talent. Be happy to take a look.
Do you do the head first camps? Anything? Is that some of your plans you're going to do this summer?
Not this summer.
Have you heard of that?
I have heard of it. Actually, Case Western, that's where I first heard of it. 'Cause they do a lot of their scouting there. With our coaching staff, head coach actually does most of the recruiting. And this year, before COVID happened, I was supposed to be scouting at different locations that I have connections with. Like I said, Pittsburgh, Texas, Ohio. I know the people who work the RBI programs there, so I was going to travel. Unfortunately, I'm not really able to travel right now. We still have still kind of have a restriction on where we're allowed to go. But I am hoping to. I mean, that was at least the plan for this summer, was to get some more recruiting in.
Now you still and I know there's still showcasing and stuff that you can have. Do you have anything planned for like on campus type camps, anything like that?
We do have camps in. We usually have them in the winter, and I'm trying to remember if it was the fall or early spring. We do have 2 camps that are on campus, which of course I do help out with that. And we actually have the past camp that we did over the winter. We actually had the guys who came using our blast sensors too. So definitely feel free to reach out about camps. More than happy to have you come out. We try to give as much instruction as possible. I mean, every player that comes through and at least goes through my section for hitting not only sees their numbers with the blast sensor, but we will send you the numbers as well as advice. I know we do also have we have a PBR showcase at the indoor facility that we had, and we had that in February. Actually, the first weekend we had an away game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because I had assistant athletic director duties, but we had the showcase that weekend too.
Wow.
So I get to go there, and I got to scout.
Wow.
So PBR showcases we are familiar with as well. We'll hit those up too.
Ross says, do you help recruit other sports?
Nothing outside of a compliance capacity. If anybody asks for eligibility or any eligibility questions, then I can answer that. But as far as actually recruiting, I'll leave that to the coaches who actually coach the sport.
Right. I guess in me, outside looking in, I'm like, why you don't want to be GM or AD? Like it's funny, all the on field stuff, all the on the field guys stuff. Like I'm like my mind, I'm like, well, how can I get to the front office? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I want. And here you are, front office. You know what I'm saying? Material and all of that, wanting to get on the field.
I'm a restless person.
What's up with that?
I'm just a restless person. I can't just sit there. I mean, my colleagues actually tease me because even when I'm in the office, I got a bat in my office. I'm standing up like every hour, just kind of messing around with my bat. I'm walking around. I'm like, sometimes I even just got to take my shoes off and just kind of go somewhere else. Like I miss just throwing. I miss, I used to catch our pitchers at Case Western. Actually, that's how I broke one of my first gloves. Pitcher's fastball. Broke the seams. I ended up having to buy a new glove. Thank God it caught because it was right at chest level. That would have hurt. No, I mean there's something about being at the field. I mean, I used to do my homework there when I was in graduate school. When I had time, like I take all of my stuff out to the field, take my shoes off, go in the outfield, and just work on homework. That's where I got all my law school stuff done. And I'm not opposed to being in the office, part of the time. I get it. Even as a coach, you have to be in the office. I just can't do that full time. I just get bored. I got to move around. I got to do something.
And
And yeah, it didn't really hit me until I did.
And the BP is good, huh? The BP is good.
The guys like the BP. I know I could definitely get better. They like it. I think it's just because I'm accurate. And I admit, I do tend to shock them. Most guys are not expecting my BP when I come up the first time. They're expecting, something a little bit softer. I'm like, no, the joy of being me, I'm not that big. And I know I'm not that strong. So I can go full out. And I'm fine.
Right.
The other thing, like
that full out is good BP for them, right?
Yeah. And they can get the full windup if they have to. I could just do the flick if I have to as well. I can throw sidearm BP. I've had to learn how to do that. If the net's too tall for me, I learn how to throw sidearm and it's still straight. And I can go for a while. I've definitely done 3 to 4 hours worth of BP and then come the next day and throw again. So I think it helps too, knowing that I'll probably feel a little bit like I threw a couple 100 pitches this week and I'm fine now. But
nice. Well, Bianca, it's been a pleasure. I think like it's supposed to be about the college, and you did speak about Carroll University, and we got pretty much all the numbers and everything. But a couple of questions are coming in. Let me make sure that I get these. He says, I have seen a female on the MLB level as an international scout and assistant GM. Would she take a position like that from an MLB club?
I probably
think I have seen. I've known a couple now that I think about it too. Yeah,
I've seen that. I know the Yankees, their assistant GM is female. But I'd probably take scout over assistant GM right now. And part of it might also just be because I'm younger. I'm not ready to really settle down just yet, hence why I moved 6 times in 2 years. As I get older, I'd probably be more willing to take an office position, but I would definitely be up for particularly international scouting. That was kind of on my bucket list, was to work in the Nippon Professional League. And I actually almost, in Japanese League, in case anybody wasn't familiar, but I actually almost applied for a position with the Australian Baseball League as well. So I have no problem traveling around. As long as I'm at the ballpark. I think if I did become a GM, no matter how old I was, I would be that GM who was catching fly balls during BP. I'd still be at the field. But, as a GM, I can make that rule. So.
I love it. All right. I got my mom thinking too, because you want to go to Australia. I got an Australian guy wanted to come here to the States. I may need to flip flop, but he does a lot of stuff with the professional rankings out there too. But he wants to come back to the States and coach. He's originally from Seattle. But I want to listen. We've been talking over an hour, man. I'm so impressed. I want to congratulate you on your success. Keep rocking, keep rolling. I definitely see you in the professional uniform very soon. I mean, I don't want to speak above what you're doing right now because I know you're handling your business there. I love to, this is your story needs to be told and heard on multiple, not just the D Brown, but multiple platforms. It's inspiring. Russ says this Juneteenth, and this is an example of what our kids need to see. The stories and accomplishments needs to get out there. I agree. She's a true role model, not just for women, but for all. I agree. Continue to knock down those doors. You are making your ancestors very proud. I agree. Somebody else says good stuff. I wish her much success. And, it's definitely an impressive story. And, listen, behind the scenes, let's stay in contact with each other. Any way I can help you. And if I hear anything and talks and stuff, especially on the pro side, I'll definitely be more than willing to put your name in there because obviously you have the passion, and I like to see the BP and all of that type of stuff. But the fact that you do BP over in the Reds and stuff, so I know they would have like, hey, get off if you can't, So more power to you. But I love to all my guests that come on. I love for them to finish with a message to everybody listening, and for the people that will be listening to the replay. If you could take us on out, Bianca, I would really impress. I really, appreciate it if you would.
Well, thanks again. I mean, I appreciate being on, and I guess the only thing I really can say is if you have a passion for something, pursue it. Pursue the hell out of it. Don't let anybody tell you no. And just, figure out a way to do it. Just work at it as much as possible. Eventually it'll work out. But yeah, thanks again, Dee. I mean, I really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun.
And you heard it. All right, you heard it there. Monday we got a double dip on Monday. We got assistant coach to Central Oklahoma. We're going Midwest style. Coming on, and then on Monday night roundtable that I would like everybody to be there at 7 p.m. Right now, I think I got 4 confirmations, maybe 5 HBCU coaches, D1 coaches that will be a roundtable discussion that will be just talk about the nature of what's going on in the country and recruiting and talking about HBCU schools, and it should be fun. Monday night at 7 p.m. and Tuesday we have a head coach from Florida, and Wednesday we have former major leaguer who also went to HBCU. I wanted to get some of these, I've been showing a little love, Bianca, to the HBCU schools the last, week or so. But Wednesday we have Freddie Lewis, who played 7-8 years Major League Baseball and went to Southern. And, we've been talking about HBCU and all the, everybody's been on the hoopla. So I wanted to bring on somebody that's been in the big leagues and that came out of a HBCU. So he just confirmed with me today that he'll be on Wednesday. So I think it'd be a good story. And then Thursday we got FAMU. So we got a fun-filled packed week next week, and we're gonna keep this ball rolling. Bianca, you finished up this. We had a great week this week, and man, I'm inspired, and it's just man, I appreciate you coming on, taking out the time and sharing your story, and I will be in contact with you.
All right, sounds good. Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
All right. Take care, Bianca.
All right, see ya.